Let's talk about backing up your Tableau server and why this is important. Let's say something happens, someone logs in, says, hey, I can't access Tableau server. You wonder, oh, I don't think I did a backup. Should I have done a backup? If that's not the case, then you lost all of that data. If, however, you've done a backup, it's a simple command and a restore. Then everyone is safe. With backups, there's a few things that you need to do. Keep in mind. Number one is do this daily. Number two, by doing it daily, you do it automatically. We'll talk about that here in a second. With the tab admin backup, there's a few other things that you can do while you're doing that. Number one, zip logs. You do this because in the event that Tableau support needs information from you, which they will, you have these zip logs available already. This again happens along with your daily backup. You do this with an extra command, and then you have these files daily. In addition to that, you can do a tab admin cleanup. You really want to do this because it makes sense because you're cleaning up or consistently maintaining your Tableau server environment, whether that be a single node or a multi-node installation. With a tab admin cleanup, when your server is started, this does something different than when your server is stopped. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Now let's demonstrate how you would do this Tableau server backup and schedule this backup with PowerShell. So we're going to take a look at a few things. Number one, the script will be available. We're just going to walk through it really quick so you're aware of what's going on. This section right here, where you see the directories, work path, and zip files, are to be changed by you. You can keep them the same. Depends, maybe you want to put this on a file share and not on a local directory. By all means do that. And that's really the only thing you need to change in this script. Moving down, we obviously test to see if that work path and zip file path is available. If it's not, we create it and move on. And we set 5 variables. Now, a lot of this with the backing up will need to essentially, if it's daily, we don't want to overwrite the previous days. We want to timestamp it with the current day. And we do that with these 5 variables right here. So the first one gets the current date for the backup, gets the current date for the log files, and the switch, the log D, gets how far back we want to go. And that's for one of the tab admin switches, which we'll see here in a second. And then we just give it a name with the current date, a log file with the current date as well. The right verbose is if you wanted to investigate the job, see what happened, didn't happen, you could do that. Now the meat of this is right here. It's the tab admin zip logs, tab admin cleanup, and tab admin backup. You'll notice on the zip logs there's 3 switches, -L, -N, -D. -L will just get you the latest log file information. If you leave it out, it grabs the last 10 days worth of information. The -N, it's the server environment information. -D is how far back you want to go date-wise. And we've specified above to include 2 days. You can include however many days you want. Typically 2 days is a good rule of thumb. And the 4th switch, in the event that the file already exists, you can overwrite it with this new one. The tab admin cleanup will essentially clean up and maintain Tableau server. Let's just call it a little bit of house cleaning. And that will just, while it's started, which it is, we'll just clean up the HTTP request table. It might be a good idea during a maintenance window or an upgrade to stop the server and then also do a tab admin cleanup, because that will also get rid of temp files as well as a few other housekeeping items, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And finally, on line 38, you see the tab admin backup. That essentially backs up everything you would need to restore to a development environment, beta environment, or worst case scenario, if your production server crashes, you have a backup available to restore. And if this is done daily, you potentially not missed any work or file uploads. And then we just set the location back to our home directory. You don't really need to do that, but if you wanted to, by all means go for it. Now we're going to run the script, and this is going to do all of those things we just mentioned, backing up and restoring. And there you go. Simple script, your backups are done. Again, these can happen daily. The one we just did was automatic. Let's show you how to schedule that with PowerShell scheduled jobs. So you'll notice that we've entered into a variable $t just when we want this to happen, and we're leveraging the new job trigger commandlet, and we're going to do this daily at 2 a.m. And then we're going to schedule this via the register scheduled job commandlet. We're going to call it TS backups, and we're going to give it a file path, obviously to the script we just saw, the TS backup. Once you do this, this is going to happen daily at 2 a.m. To verify that it's enabled, you can see script is enabled. So every day at 2 a.m. this will run. You'll have a backup in your C Tableau backups directory. And there you go. There's our backup we just created and our log files. So takeaways. Obviously doing a backup is a necessary thing to do in a production environment. In the manual, there's a section called Remove Unneeded Files, which gives a deeper description of actually what happens when you do a tab admin cleanup, when the server is started, and then when the server is stopped. Again, when it's started, you clean up the HTTP request table. When it's stopped, you clean up all the unnecessary files in the temp directory. Big bonus to doing a backup is that you have the log files available when Tableau support requests them. In the event that something happens to Tableau Server, you need to investigate, you have these files available that you can then send to Tableau. The bonus with doing this is that in addition to keeping them locally, or if you've already pushed them to a file share, kudos to you, but you can also ship these to something like Amazon S3 or Dropbox so that if you wanted to easily pull these down to a tab admin restore, to your production environment, to a development environment, or even to a beta environment to test a beta version of Tableau Server, you can do that very easily with a few PowerShell commands.